More than 6 years after Nipsey Hussle's tragic passing, the legacy he worked so hard to build is once again making headlines. But this time, the story isn't about new music, a public tribute, or an anniversary of his life. Instead, it's about the estate he left behind and the years it took to reach a major milestone for his family. When Nipsey was fatally shot in March 2019 at just 33 years old, the music world lost not only a celebrated rapper, but also an entrepreneur and community leader who had spent years building businesses designed to create long-term wealth. Unlike many artists who focused only on music, Nipsey invested heavily in ventures that reflected his vision for ownership and financial independence. According to court filings, his estate was reportedly valued at approximately $11 million, consisting of far more than cash alone. The assets reportedly included ownership interests in several businesses, intellectual property, valuable trademarks connected to his brand, and personal property, including a 2012 Chevrolet Suburban. One of the most recognizable assets connected to his legacy is the Marathon Clothing, the business that became a symbol of Nipsey's philosophy of ownership, perseverance, and investing back into his own community. Following his passing, responsibility for managing the estate fell largely to his brother, Black Sam, who stepped in as the estate's administrator. It was an enormous responsibility. Beyond protecting Nipsey's business interests, he also had to oversee legal matters, preserve the value of the estate, and ensure that everything would eventually benefit Nipsey's children, according to the legal process. From the outside, many people assumed settling the estate would happen relatively quickly. However, large celebrity estates are often far more complicated than they appear. Business ownership, trademarks, ongoing revenue, and family responsibilities can all make the legal process lengthy, especially when multiple parties are involved. Throughout those years, Black Sam continued working to manage the businesses and safeguard the legacy Nipsey had built, while fans watched closely, hoping everything would ultimately honor the rapper's vision for his family and future generations. But preserving the estate turned out to be only one part of the challenge. Behind the scenes, a series of legal disagreements and family disputes would delay the process for years, making the path toward a final resolution far more complicated than anyone expected. But while Nipsey Hussle's businesses continued carrying his name forward, the legal process surrounding his estate proved to be far more complicated than many fans realized. What looked straightforward from the outside gradually became a years-long legal journey involving family, custody, and the responsibility of protecting Nipsey's legacy. Following Nipsey's passing in 2019, his brother, Black Sam, took on the role of managing the estate. Along with overseeing the rapper's business interests and financial assets, he was also involved in legal matters concerning Nipsey's eldest daughter, Imani. Over the years, court proceedings and legal filings drew significant public attention as disagreements arose between Black Sam and Imani's mother, Tanisha Foster. The situation wasn't simply about money. Reports indicated that the legal proceedings also involved questions surrounding Imani's care and the management of assets connected to Nipsey's estate. Because the case involved a minor, many details remained private, and much of what happened inside the courtroom was never fully disclosed to the public. That privacy led to widespread speculation online, but many important facts were never confirmed beyond official court records. As the years passed, fans continued hoping the family would eventually reach common ground. Nipsey had often spoken about building generational wealth and creating opportunities for his children. So many supporters believed resolving these legal matters peacefully would best reflect the values he stood for throughout his life. According to recent reports, that long legal chapter finally reached an important turning point. Last year, Black Sam and Tanisha Foster reportedly resolved their differences, bringing years of legal disagreements to an end. While the specific terms of their agreement were not publicly disclosed, the resolution cleared the way for the estate administration to move forward after years of uncertainty. For many fans, the news was a welcome development. Rather than focusing on courtroom disputes, attention could finally return to what mattered most, ensuring that Nipsey's children would benefit from the legacy their father worked so hard to build. It also represented a moment of healing after years of legal challenges that had often overshadowed the positive impact of Nipsey's accomplishments. With the disputes reportedly settled, the estate was finally able to take the next major step. After years of waiting, Nipsey Hussle's children would officially receive the inheritance that had been tied up throughout the lengthy legal process, marking one of the most significant milestones since the rapper's passing. After years of legal proceedings and countless court filings, one of the most important chapters in Nipsey Hussle's estate has finally reached a meaningful conclusion. According to newly released court documents, the rapper's two children have officially received their shares of the estate, bringing a long and emotional process one step closer to completion. Reports state that Nipsey's daughter, Imani, now 17, and his son, Cross, now 9, each received an equal 50% share of the inheritance. While the exact dollar amounts remain sealed by the court and have not been made public, the distribution reportedly includes both financial assets and ownership interests connected to the estate. Rather than being limited to cash alone, the inheritance also reflects the businesses, trademarks, and other valuable assets that Nipsey spent years building before his passing. One document reportedly acknowledged that Lauren London, Nipsey's longtime partner at the time of his death and the mother of Cross, signed paperwork confirming receipt of funds on behalf of her son. Although Lauren has largely remained private throughout the estate process, her reported acknowledgement represents another important legal step in ensuring that Cross's share was properly received and documented. For Imani, the moment carries its own significance. After years of legal proceedings involving her mother, Tanisha Foster, and estate administrator Black Sam, the reported distribution signals that the lengthy legal process surrounding her portion of the inheritance has finally moved forward. While many of the legal details remain confidential, fans have viewed this outcome as an important milestone after years of uncertainty. Beyond the financial aspect, many supporters see this development as the fulfillment of something Nipsey often spoke about throughout his career. He consistently emphasized ownership, investing in businesses, and creating opportunities that would benefit future generations. His interviews frequently focused on building assets rather than simply earning income, believing that long-term wealth could change the future for an entire family. Because of that philosophy, many fans feel that this inheritance represents far more than money. It reflects the vision Nipsey worked to create long before his life was tragically cut short. At the same time, it's important to remember that both Imani and Cross are still growing up largely outside the public spotlight. While the headlines focus on estate figures and legal documents, the family's priority has remained protecting the children's well-being and privacy throughout the process. The court's decision to keep the exact payout amounts sealed reflects that continued respect for their personal lives. With the inheritance now reportedly distributed, attention naturally shifts beyond the courtroom and toward the legacy Nipsey left behind. Because while the estate has financial value, many believe his greatest achievement isn't measured in dollars at all. It's found in the businesses, ideas, and community impact that continue inspiring people years after his passing. But while the headlines have focused on inheritance and court documents, many longtime fans believe the most valuable part of Nipsey Hussle's estate was never the money itself. It was the vision he spent years building, a vision centered on ownership, entrepreneurship, and creating opportunities that would last long after he was gone. Throughout his career, Nipsey repeatedly encouraged artists and entrepreneurs to think beyond record sales and short-term success. In interviews, he often spoke about the importance of investing, owning businesses, controlling intellectual property, and building assets that could provide financial security for future generations. It was a message that became one of the defining themes of his career and earned him respect far beyond the music industry. One of the strongest examples of that philosophy was the Marathon Clothing, a business that grew into much more than a fashion brand. For Nipsey, it represented self-reliance, community investment, and the belief that success should create opportunities for others. The Marathon name became a symbol of persistence, reminding fans that real progress isn't about quick wins, it's about staying committed to a long-term vision. According to court documents, Nipsey's estate also includes ownership interests in various businesses, along with valuable trademarks connected to his name and brand. Those trademarks continue protecting the identity he carefully built over the years, helping preserve the legacy of both his music and his entrepreneurial work. Rather than existing as memories alone, these business assets continue carrying forward the foundation he created during his lifetime. After Nipsey's passing, his brother Black Sam took on the responsibility of helping manage those assets while the estate worked its way through the legal process. It was a challenging role, requiring him to balance business responsibilities with the emotional weight of protecting his brother's life's work. Supporters have often credited those efforts with helping keep Nipsey's vision alive during a difficult period for the family. Many fans believe that's exactly what Nipsey hoped to achieve. He didn't just want to build wealth for himself. He wanted to create something that could continue benefiting his family and inspiring others for years to come. Every business, trademark, and investment reflected that larger goal of leaving behind more than music. Now that another major step in settling the estate has been completed, those businesses represent more than financial assets. They stand as reminders of the principles Nipsey championed throughout his career: ownership, patience, and building a legacy designed to outlive the person who created it. And perhaps that's why his influence continues to grow. Even years after his passing, conversations about Nipsey Hussle are no longer limited to his songs. They're also about the example he set, the lessons he shared, and the legacy that continues reaching new generations every single day. But if you ask many of Nipsey Hussle's fans what his greatest achievement was, chances are they won't mention the size of his estate or the value of his businesses. They'll talk about the impact he had on people and why that influence continues to grow years after his passing. Nipsey was never known as someone who chased headlines or lived solely for fame. While his music earned critical acclaim, he became equally respected for the way he approached life outside the recording studio. He constantly encouraged ownership over dependence, long-term thinking over quick success, and investing in communities instead of simply profiting from them. Those ideas resonated with millions of people who saw him as more than just a rapper. They saw him as a mentor, a businessman, and a leader. His message reached far beyond the world of hip-hop. Young entrepreneurs often point to Nipsey's interviews for inspiration, quoting his advice about patience, discipline, and building something that lasts. His famous "The Marathon Continues" philosophy has become more than a slogan. For many supporters, it's a mindset that represents perseverance through setbacks and staying committed to a bigger purpose, even when success doesn't come overnight. That philosophy is one reason fans continue honoring his memory every year. Whether it's streaming his music, wearing marathon merchandise, supporting community projects inspired by his work, or simply sharing his interviews online, people continue finding new ways to celebrate the values he stood for. His influence has remained remarkably strong because it was built on principles that still resonate today. Now, with reports that another major chapter of his estate has been resolved, many believe the focus can gradually shift away from years of legal proceedings and back toward the legacy Nipsey intentionally created. The inheritance received by his children is undoubtedly significant, but countless fans believe the greatest gift he left them isn't measured in dollars. It's the example of a father who spent his life creating opportunities, building businesses, and proving that ownership and vision can change the future of an entire family. For Imani and Cross, that legacy will always be deeply personal. As they grow older, they'll inherit not only the assets their father built, but also the responsibility of carrying forward a name that has become synonymous with resilience, entrepreneurship, and community empowerment. While the future is theirs to define, they'll always have the foundation Nipsey worked so hard to create. And that naturally raises one final question. Now that this important legal milestone has been reached, what comes next for Nipsey's family, his businesses, and the lasting legacy he worked so tirelessly to leave behind? But now that one of the longest-running chapters surrounding Nipsey Hussle's estate has reached a major milestone, attention naturally turns to the future. After years of legal proceedings, court filings, and behind-the-scenes negotiations, many fans are wondering what this moment truly means for the family Nipsey left behind. According to the recent court documents, the distribution of the estate marks significant progress in settling the affairs of one of hip-hop's most respected artists. For his children, Imani and Cross, it represents more than receiving financial assets. It reflects years of work to preserve the legacy their father built and ensure that what he created would ultimately benefit them. Although the exact amounts remain sealed, reports indicate that both children received equal shares of the estate, including financial assets and interests connected to Nipsey's businesses and intellectual property. By keeping portions of the legal process private, the court has also helped protect the family's personal affairs, allowing the focus to remain on their well-being rather than public speculation. For Imani, who is now entering adulthood, this marks the beginning of a new phase in her life. After years in which legal proceedings often became public headlines, there is hope that she can move forward with greater stability and privacy. For Cross, who is still young, the inheritance represents something that may continue supporting him as he grows, while the adults responsible for his care continue guiding important decisions on his behalf. Many supporters also recognize the role played by the family members who worked through years of complicated legal responsibilities. Estate administration is rarely simple, especially when valuable businesses, trademarks, and ongoing revenue streams are involved. Reaching this point required patience, legal oversight, and cooperation after a process that lasted several years. At the same time, it's important to remember that no legal settlement can replace the person at the center of the story. Nipsey Hussle's absence continues to be deeply felt by his loved ones, friends, and fans around the world. While the estate may now be closer to final resolution, the emotional impact of losing him remains something no court document can change. Looking ahead, many fans hope this milestone allows the family to focus less on legal matters and more on preserving Nipsey's legacy in positive ways. His businesses continue operating, his music continues inspiring listeners, and his message about ownership, perseverance, and community investment remains just as relevant today as it was during his lifetime. In many ways, this moment isn't really an ending, it's the beginning of a new chapter. One where the legacy Nipsey spent years building is now positioned to support the very people he cared about most. And while the headlines may eventually move on, the values he championed continue to influence artists, entrepreneurs, and communities around the world. That may be the greatest legacy of all. Not simply the wealth he created, but the future he worked so hard to build for the next generation. In the end, this story was never just about court documents, inheritance, or the value of an estate. It was about the lasting impact of a man who believed that true success wasn't measured by fame alone, but by what you leave behind for the people you love. More than 6 years after Nipsey Hussle's tragic passing, the reported distribution of his estate marks the closing of an important legal chapter. According to recent reports, his children, Imani and Cross, have now officially received their shares, bringing years of legal proceedings one step closer to a final resolution. While the exact figures remain confidential, the outcome represents something far more meaningful than numbers on paper. It reflects the fulfillment of a vision Nipsey spent years working toward, a future in which the businesses, assets, and opportunities he built could continue benefiting his family. Throughout his career, Nipsey spoke passionately about ownership, financial literacy, and creating generational wealth. Those weren't just ideas he talked about in interviews or lyrics, they were principles he actively lived by. From building businesses and protecting his intellectual property to investing in his community, he consistently encouraged others to think beyond immediate success and focus on creating something that would last. That message is one reason his influence continues to grow even today. His music still reaches new listeners. His interviews continue inspiring entrepreneurs around the world. His philosophy of patience, resilience, and long-term vision remains just as powerful as it was during his lifetime. For many fans, The Marathon Continues is no longer simply the name of a movement. It's a reminder that meaningful progress comes through dedication, consistency, and purpose. As his children move forward into the next chapter of their lives, they inherit far more than financial assets. They inherit a legacy built on determination, leadership, and the belief that success should create opportunities for future generations. While the legal process may have taken years, many supporters hope this milestone allows the family to focus on healing, growth, and preserving everything Nipsey worked so hard to create. Although no legal decision can erase the pain of losing someone so influential, stories like this remind us that a person's impact doesn't end when they're gone. Through his music, his businesses, his ideas, and the lives he inspired, Nipsey Hussle's legacy continues reaching people across the world. And perhaps that's the greatest achievement of all, not simply leaving behind an estate, but leaving behind values that continue changing lives long after the headlines fade. What do you think was Nipsey Hussle's greatest legacy? His music, his entrepreneurial vision, or the message he shared about building generational wealth? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more celebrity news, inspiring stories, and the biggest entertainment updates. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.